Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody, man? Listen, it might be a little choppy. It's tough weather here in the state of Florida. I'm not sure if you guys are around, but we back to our second episode of the Coach Me Coach podcast with my man Don. You know why I got him off the screen, man. You know, special guest. He part of the family, man. Don, what's up with you, man? Talk to me. You on mute.
What's going on, Coach? You know, I'm excited for episode number 2. We did it big in episode 1. Really excited for what we're going to bring out tonight.
Yeah, definitely, man. So I appreciate it. We already got the producer, H. Nellen, in the building. Give me the thumbs up. Everything looks good. Sounds good. I'm actually at the crib, dog. I'm not in Orlando. I'm at the crib.
Man,
so it's good times, man.
We got a big old freaking tornado warning and everything, and you at the crib down there.
Well, listen, it's been raining since I've been here, man. So it ain't too much better. I can tell you that. It ain't too much better, man. But, yeah, definitely, man. So, you know, I've been rocking and rolling. I'm supposed to be on vacation, but I'm still working, man. I was on Footballville earlier, some Twitter Spaces and all that good stuff. So we rocking and rolling with it, man. All right, here we go. Let's check this out. Let's talk about this, Don, because we got an hour. We said we're going to keep it to an hour, and we got a lot to talk about. Currently got 10 people in the building. If I'm a little choppy, I apologize. But again, we dealing on the road. We ain't at this home studio. All right. Hurricane Kilo says show number 2. I guess that's right, man. I appreciate you riding with us. All right. So here we go. Let's talk about this real quick before we get into the Big Ten conference spring breakdown. What's your thoughts if I say this? Tom Brady says he's returning back to the NFL. Talk to me.
Diva.
The diva.
You listen. March Madness kicks off tonight, right? It's kicking off right now. March Madness.
Yeah.
You can't even give them college kids. See, that's the problem with these Michigan quarterbacks, man. That's the problem with the quarterbacks from the team up north. So I just had to get that in. But no, I mean, it's good for the NFL. It's always good to have Tom Brady. I think it's funny he spent just a couple months with the family, and I guess the urge was still there to go back out and play. I know Bucs fans everywhere are super pumped, but I can't say I was totally surprised. How about you?
I'm gonna say this: bored. In fact, if they one word, he's bored already. Here's the thing about Tom Brady. He's never suffered a major injury. So his body is not hurting yet, right? It's hard to get out of bed when this ache, that pain. He's never had, from my understanding, a significant injury. Mm-hmm. And so now he's bored. I don't think he wants to be a broadcaster or anything like that. And we're going to keep this short because we got a lot to bring to it. But I just think he's not going to stop until he catches that major injury. And it's like, all right, I'm done. You know what I mean? And sometimes you stay in too long. And, you know, he just hasn't had that major. Now, if he's had a major injury where a nagging shoulder, I don't even know if the dude has had any surgeries, bro.
I don't think so. And the thing is, the Tampa Bay surrounded him with such a good offensive line, dude barely gets hit.
Right. And then again, when he was in New England all those years, he got the ball out quick. So he has that longevity. I think he's bored. And, you know, it's in him. He's a competitor. He wants to compete. And what's the next business venture where I can compete at a high level? So it is what it is, man. Let's jump into this deal, man. Real quick, let me give a couple of shout outs, man. Central Texas came, says, what's good, fella? What's up? Which appreciate your coach, dog, as always. What they do, coach. We good. H&L already gave you a salute. Obi-Wan Kane says, salute to you, Dom. He wants attention. I love it. Kilo. TB12 gonna bring my Bucks another ship. Oh my gosh, I hear you. Bottom 11, appreciate you stopping through, man. As always, said what they do. Mitchell L, coach me, coach. You kept that coach me, coach alive, and we did something with it, dog. So I appreciate you, man. And John Kennedy says he's had one season injury. Jimmy G back up. Okay, all right. I love it. Ghost Hayes. Coach Hayes. You meant goat. You meant goat haze.
Goat
But let's get
haze.
this thing rocking and rolling. Let's talk about it, man. All right. So we're breaking down Big Ten. Okay, we're breaking down the Big Ten spring ball, and this is a part one of the series for each conference. Next week we're gonna do maybe the ACC, SEC. Y'all put it in the chat. Y'all vote which one y'all want to do next, and then so forth and so on. We'll go from there. We'll take your vote whichever conference we do next. We know it's 12 teams here in the Big Ten, right? 12 teams, Big Ten. All right, let's start off with your Ohio State. Here's what I have to say. And we're going through all of these, so we're not going to stay long. We're going to chop this up, man. We're going to chop and screw this thing, and we're going to make it good. We'll also break this up so people can watch this in nuggets, and they don't have to sit through the entire deal as well. Ohio State brings in a new defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles, coming from Oklahoma State. Previous to that, he was at Duke. What's going to make this guy the guy? Will it be a scheme, philosophy, or what, coming from those two type of programs?
Scheme and mentality. So he's had success everywhere he's gone. And the thing about Jim Knowles is that it doesn't matter. Oklahoma State does not have the same talent as the University of Oklahoma has. But those guys run through a wall for him. They play physical, they play an aggressive style defense, and he does a good job of using what he has and putting him in the right, position to succeed and play fast. This is the most talented team he's ever worked with. There's depth. He's a guy they call him an evil genius. And so Ohio State, I think the thing that excites me, briefly, is that usually defensively, at least from what I've seen, we're usually reacting, to what the offense does. This guy is the guy who is going to dictate what the offense does by having his guys play super aggressive, super physical. He's going to be aggressive in the scheme, but he also has, just in case something does not work, there's a plan in place to say, okay, and part of the scheme, okay, bam, we screw up here. This is how we adjust. So it's quick adjustments. You don't have to wait till the next game. You don't have to wait till the next season. And I think, the athletes are going to be able to showcase their skills more so than they have since 2019 with Jeff Hafley.
So let me ask you this. What's the difference between this scheme and the previous scheme? And as I know you said mentality, so I get that part. But schematically, what's the difference?
So they're running a true 4-2-5. And so essentially, but that it's usually how Jim Knowles does it is it's a 3 down lineman, and then he has what he calls the Leo position. And the Leo position is the guy that is a hybrid, kind of a hybrid linebacker, and he causes confusion. He goes into different gaps to make you change your blocking scheme. And so he moves everywhere. He can drop back into coverage. He can rush off the edge. They put him in the middle. He's a guy, Cade Stover is a guy they're thinking about. Jack Sawyer, who you've broken down his tape. He's a candidate for it. A guy like that. So you can have just a guy, a tough guy, a guy that can do a lot of things. And then with Ohio State, you're talking about a super athletic guy. One of the biggest things that's the difference is it is a big time safety driven defense. So you're going to have 3 safeties on the field. You're going to have a nickel, and then they have a bandit. And I forgot the field safety. But pretty much you don't want big plays, and that nickel safety, he can do just about anything. Ohio State's previous scheme, they call it the bullet. But one of those safeties can come down and support the run. Then you have a center fielder who just erases everything. And then you have that slot corner sort of safety who can do different things. He can blitz off the edge, and he can cover, the slot, and he can do things out in space. So that's one of the big differences that you'll see.
Gotcha. All right, last question about Ohio State before we move this thing on. Offensively, we know Ryan Day is made the play caller, right? On game day and that type of thing. They're loaded when it comes to wide receivers. Just real quick, what is the quarterback situation there, knowing that Quinn Ewers left out and you got a couple of guys that could have been picked up, just for the fans so they know?
Well, next year is we're good because CJ Stroud is coming back. If God forbid anything happens, I don't see why this will not be his last year. Obviously he's a Heisman favorite, and you saw how he competed, especially towards the end of last season. Expect a big year out of him, and Ohio State has already said they're going to put more responsibility on him. Right now, you're looking at Kyle McCord and Devin Brown, a freshman out of California. They'll be vying for the backup backup spot, I give the edge to McCord just due to experience. And then when CJ leaves, you'll see Kyle McCord, Devin Brown, and then they're battling right now for some quarterbacks and recruiting some high-end quarterbacks. They have their hat in the ring as well. So as long as Ryan Day is still at the helm, quarterback isn't an issue when it comes to Ohio State football.
Got you. Let's move this thing on to the ultimate rival. You said the team up north. We're talking about Michigan, who actually won the Big Ten last year, went on into the playoffs. I forgot how long the run was. Was it 10 years, maybe 11 years or something since they've won it?
Yeah.
Not long enough. Here's my question. Here's my question about Michigan. We know Josh Gaddis leaves, goes to the Miami Hurricanes, and becomes the offensive coordinator there. Defensively, they still have the guy from the Baltimore Ravens. Was it
he's not there.
He left too?
He went back to Baltimore.
Holy smokes. So anyway, I guess everybody left when they thought he was going to when Jim Harbaugh was going to the NFL. Everybody jumped ship. Yeah. And I thought he did a pretty good job. What's his name? McDaniel? No, not McDaniel.
Mike McDonald.
McDonald.
But I know who you're talking about.
You talking about the singer Mike McDonald, right? But anyway, Mike McDonald. So here we are. So now here's what's interesting. We always know Jim Harbaugh has been his offense, those things. People have raised some questions about, was it truly Josh Gaddis' offense? Was it Jim Harbaugh's offense? I'm going to leave that to what that is. But I do want to ask this. He has promoted Sharon Moore, who is the offensive line coach, to a coordinator who actually won the Joe Moore Award for the Best Offensive Lineman Award, and Matt Wise, who was the quarterback coach, last year. And as I looked up Matt Wise's kind of resume, it's interesting. A lot of defense in there, right? He starts off in the pro leagues. A lot of, I think he was a GA at Stanford or whatever. Starts off in the pro leagues, gets on the linebacker side of it, the DB side of it. And I only saw 2 years, I think he was an assistant quarterback coach for the Ravens, and that was 16-17. Comes in, he was the running back coach prior to that, and then gets the quarterback job. So what that kind of tells me, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, Jim Harbaugh is the quarterback coach in essence, right? And so he's kind of like the understudy, not to knock his role, but he's kind of like the understudy and makes him the co-offensive coordinator in that sense. So my question to you is, how do you think that affair, with an unbiased decision, how do you think that affair for the Michigan Wolverines this year? And listening to Jim Harbaugh talk about Cade McNamara having a good transition from season to spring.
If they don't start J.J. McCartney, then Jim should have went to the NFL. And that's no love lost against Cade, but you saw what happened when you put JJ in. It opens up the playbook. It opens up the offense more because he has this dynamic with his feet. And then Cade can throw a deep ball, but that's not what you're worried about. You're not worried about the deep pass with Cade. But JJ is the playmaker. Whoever called Ohio State's defense soft is so wrong for that. You're going to be proven wrong. You're going to be proven wrong week 1 against Notre Dame. That's all right. That's all right. But that's okay. That's okay. Still mad. That's all good. But no, it's still, like you said, it's still Jim Harbaugh's offense. My only question is, do they go to the spread more? Because if they spread the ball out more, then I think you have to have JJ back at the helm, because now you talk about the read option. And I think Gaddis may have had some sort of influence, when it comes to spreading the ball out, because they had the athletes. This is a great offense coming back with Donovan Edwards, Blake Corum, going to have a good quarterback at the helm, pretty good good offensive line. They got a transfer from UVA who was regarded as one of the top transfers in the portal. So, and, they got receivers out wide, maybe not as many as last year, but they definitely still have some talent. So if Jim screws it up, it's because he's outsmarting himself. He's trying to, make it overly dynamic, but they really shouldn't have too much of an issue running the ball or even throwing the ball. It's just I think JJ's the quarterback unless something happens. And that's, like I said, that's not a knock against Cade, but JJ has a different skill set than Cade does.
Yeah, because I look at it real quick as I move on through this deal. Ronnie Bell was injured last year, had a season-ending injury. He comes back, if I'm not mistaken. I forget the young freshman he had. I think he was number 6, kind of tall, lanky dude. He was exciting. He was dynamic. He really stretched the field. And then you had Mikey Santa Steele, if I'm not mistaken, a little kind of a scat, as they always produce, the Wes Welker type cat that can get open through the middles and so forth.
Yeah, they I don't. We'll see how they use it, because they do have some big receivers, that can stretch the field. And then I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Anthony. He caught a touchdown against Georgia.
That's the young guy I'm talking about. Yeah,
him. Yeah, he could stretch the field as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And not a terrible recruiting class they brought in. I mean, they're, if they can develop, that's the thing. You can have 25,000 5-stars, but if you can't develop them, then it is what it is.
Yes, Justin, appreciate you. Says Cornelius Johnson, Andrew Anthony. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Andrew Anthony,
appreciate you.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys, man. And y'all moving fast. I appreciate y'all in the chat. CJ Mike says they have all their receivers coming back. One dude, Ballman, which he didn't do too much.
If I'm not mistaken, he was the one from Jackson State that transferred over.
Okay, all right, so perfect, man.
And then they have good tight ends too. Eric All, he's a talented tight end that can stretch the field. And, they'll be, like I said, the only way I see them screwing up is when they play Ohio State. That's number one. But just if they overcomplicate things on offense, just get the ball to your playmakers and let them make plays. And, I think Jim can do that.
Yeah, it'll definitely happen. All right, let's jump into this piece. Penn State. Penn State. All right, so Penn State, let me lead this piece in, and I'll let you run with it. As we all know, Penn State, I want to say it was 3 or 4 days after Manny Diaz was fired from the University of Miami as the head coach. Coach James Franklin decides to pick up his talents in Manny Diaz and bring him to Penn State. I'm going to just say this piece, and you're going to have the rest of the floor, and we'll move on. There's a young man that was in Central Florida named Zane Durant who went to Lake Nona, who was possibly going to be a shoe-in for Miami and ended up going to Penn State. All right, cool. I just want to put this piece out because it is the Coach Me Coach podcast. This right here is a prime example. If there are any recruits listening or parents of recruits listening, this is why you don't play around with these coaches. You have to handle this like grown man business. I want to explain. I've said this numerous times on my podcast, and I'm going to say it again. I don't know this to be true. I'm simply using this as an example. Just imagine if Zane Durant was playing around with Manny Diaz. Yeah, I'm coming, coach. I'm coming, just playing that game. And ends up I'm going to Penn State anyway, regardless, instead of handling grown man business. Again, this is an example. Now look who becomes your defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. See, that's why. Now, again, I know these coaches play games. But as a young man and a family, you can't play game with these coaches because it gets back around and it happens. Now your destiny is ultimately in this guy's hands. So I said all that to say, I just want to put that out there from a Coach Me Coach standpoint. And Penn State picking up Manny Diaz as a defensive coordinator, is that plus or minus for Penn State and James Franklin and the Lions?
Well, you tell me. He was your coach for for a while. What is Manny like on defense? I remember you were saying that he doesn't like to use a play sheet, which I will say.
I never said that. Actually, I never said that. That was what was being said.
Oh, that's what was being said. Okay, my bad.
No. I said that because I find that from a coaching standpoint, I don't know how to take that because again, people take stuff, they screw it, they play with it. I know he has a playbook. I know he had. Now, I did say on game day he doesn't refer to a sheet.
That's what I was talking about. That's what I was referring to.
Okay,
yeah. That's what
like he doesn't refer
to. After the
he doesn't refer to. Yeah, he doesn't refer to a game sheet. Now that can be detrimental, but playbook, that's something totally different. All right, I know he has a playbook. Yeah, but he doesn't have the play sheet, the what if, the down and distance, and all that stuff. Again, I don't know. It's amazing to me how they recycle a lot of these coaches so fast. But again, Manny Diaz may reinvent himself, not reinvent, but show who he really was. Is he's probably a better coordinator than he was a head coach. And there are coaches out there that's like that. They had to try their hand at a head coach. And when my cup of tea, that's not where I'm really favored at. I might be a great defensive coordinator, but we're here to find out. What's your take?
Penn State, the biggest thing for them, we and I talked about this. I'm curious as to what they do on offense, because the one thing about Penn State, they lost Jahan Dotson, but Parker Washington is a baller, and they have Lambert coming back. They have some good receivers. Got a pretty good tight end who's coming back. A nice, stable of good running backs, at their disposal. Is quarterback. Sean Clifford's coming back for his 20th year. what seems like. Now, you got a baller, a certified baller. You did his film, Drew Aller, a certified baller who, if I'm just telling you, I'm more nervous to play him than to play Sean Clifford. And so for me, it's like, okay, what direction do you want the offense to go in? And maybe Clifford has improved some, and maybe it's for, Drew to sit on the bench for a year. But I think that dude can play. With Manny Diaz, Penn State, they're always going to have a good defense. They have great linebackers. Obviously, they lost some talent. Brandon Smith, he's going to the draft. Jesse Luketa, he's gone. But, you got Joey Porter Jr., on outside, which is weird. It's like I was watching Joey Porter Sr. play the other day, so to speak. And it's like now his son is, going to get drafted pretty high. They have another returning safety. They do have some young talent. They have to restock on the defensive line. Zane Durant is one that you mentioned. I expect Penn State to kind of be the same Penn State, to be honest with you. If James Franklin, they will stay in games. They're going to play good defense. They're going to play good physical defense. They got PJ Buster. I'm not even going to. PJ, I know his first name. But, we talked about it before. You talk about a dude at defensive tackle that can stuff the run. He is a key clog in there, and he's coming back from injury. It's, if Manny Diaz can replicate, the success, that they've had, I feel like their systems are somewhat similar. They're going to cause, headaches for the offense. They're going to be super aggressive. Penn State is super aggressive, playing well. And James Franklin is just, in-game management. That's one of the things that hurts them, in-game management. So if they can clear some of that stuff up, they can definitely make things interesting. But they will be, a young team on certain sides of the ball, and the offensive line has to block. Like, I saw a video of them blocking, and they struggle with run fits, and just run blocking and everything. So I'm looking to see what they do. See if these recruits, they got some talented recruits coming in, and so we'll see if they can make a difference early on.
Definitely, man. Before we jump into our next one, man, like I said, that's Penn State. We'll all be checking them out. I'm going through all 12 of these, so that's why we kind of running and we keeping it to the hour mark. Currently got 37 in the building. I appreciate you guys. Hit that button. Let's make this thing big. And again, we're going to chop these up so you can dissect these nuggets throughout the week coming up as we come on to our next show. Justin Trosper said Penn State recruited well this year, so I look for next year to be their run. So, yeah, we'll find out, man. We'll see. And I think Manny Diaz, he's not a dumb guy. I just think, and I did a show a while back about being over your head. Was the you too much for Manny Diaz? And there's a lot of factors into that. So, again, some guys are just not good head coaches, right? But they're better coordinators or better position coaches, and we'll definitely find that out here. Let's talk about Wisconsin. So, Wisconsin, me and you, we had a quick conversation. Wisconsin is one of those teams that is steady, meaning that they are who they are. They're going to be who they are. They're a good team. They'll definitely hurt you if you don't watch it. They'll wreck your season if you play them late. And they're coached extremely well. And the offensive line is coached extremely well. I did a video on a young man named Braylon Allen, who was a DB and then switched over to running back, and talk to us a little bit about him and his time at Wisconsin being a Badger.
That dude, he's kind of God that is. It was hard to believe that he's just so young. I think he's 18. But he is a grown man toting that rock, man. He is a beast. He is a big time baller. And I think they're gonna lean on him next year. He's the real deal. posting all these weightlifting videos of him squatting 700 something pounds, if I'm not mistaken. And he's just it's not even right. And he's just gonna keep getting better. I'm really excited to see his progression, to see how he develops. I think that Wisconsin in total, they're going to be a really good team next year. I'm interested to see their receiving core because they are losing a couple key pieces at receiver, but Wisconsin, they're one of those teams, man. It's just they could lose all 5 offensive linemen, but you can also honestly say they'll be fine because they develop offensive linemen so well, and they actually have some talent to work with. And I'm not saying anything against their walk-ons, because what they do with their walk-ons at multiple positions is phenomenal. But they'll have some beef up front. Quarterback, I'm curious about because Graham Mertz was a little inconsistent last year. And so, this is his time to come in and if he can take the steps to, living up to, his expectation or what is expected of him, I think that he could be the difference for Wisconsin. If he can make plays through the air, then they're very dangerous defensively. Jim Leonard has a unique system. Those guys play hard. Those guys play fast. They play very aggressive. So I have no doubt that their defense is going to be pretty good next year. And so they're going to be a tough team. I definitely think you can say that they are they can be considered the favorite in the Big Ten West Division.
It's funny. When I hear about Wisconsin, I still think they hold on to the Big Ten model, right? The smash mouth, the blue-collar worker. I mean, that's how I look at it. Because, every conference back in the day before recruits went all over, every section of the nation had an identity. And I still think they hold on to that identity. Very much so, like you said, we were talking about Caleb Williams going to Wisconsin to play up under center. He's not doing that, but that's just something they do, man. So that's huge right there. Let's flip this deal in. Let's talk about this, man. I appreciate you guys coming in and leaving comments. If you're just new to this, leave your comment. We're talking about the Big Ten today. We're going to break down each one of these conferences spring. Let me know in the comment section which conference you want us to do next, whether it's ACC, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12. We're going to do them all, but which one do you guys want to see next? Put that in the comment section. Let me see here real quick. Justin Trosper says, Wisconsin will throw 4,000 pounds at you and dare you to run the ball. That's back to that Big Ten ball, right?
Preach, yeah. It's if you don't like it, stop it. And hit you straight in the mouth. Yep.
That's real. Let's jump into rowing the boat. All right. Everybody knows PJ Fleck, and he has his row the boat philosophy, meaning everybody doing the same thing, get to the same destination. He took that with him when he left Western Michigan, and he took that over to Minnesota. Now, I had to say in the 2020 year, having to go to a game, a Minnesota game, oh my God, I was freezing. And it didn't look. I mean, these are the only place I've been. There's a Buffalo Wild Wings right across the street from the stadium, and the people got on shorts, bro. And I'm out there with almost a snowsuit on, but I'm gonna leave that at that. Let's talk about this part. Yeah, it's 22 degrees, and they got on shorts and a hoodie. But let's talk about this part. It didn't look too good in 2020. 2021, he turns it around, does a pretty decent job, right? I know he had some injuries in 2020 that was big. The running back, no, he lost his running back this year, if I'm not mistaken.
In the first game against Ohio State, he was.
That's right.
He had up like 163 yards and then suffered a season-ending injury.
Season ending, so I think they would have been better. What is your take on that? On how he will do at Minnesota?
If I'm not mistaken, Ibram, he's back.
Ibram, yes, that's right.
Ibram. He's coming back. And then they have Tanner Morgan, their quarterback from last year, if I'm not mistaken. He's coming back. They bring in another offensive coordinator, and he was an analyst at West Virginia, and I think he came back to Minnesota. So I'll be interested to see how the offense opens up. The thing that I'm kind of curious about, they lost, if I'm not mistaken, they've lost 4 starters on the offensive line. And they, on paper, those were some big dudes. Like that big tackle, he was from IMG. He was like 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 380
Wow.
something pounds. And so they're losing a lot of experience on the offensive line. But they have a deep stable of running back. Deep stable at running back. So it'll be interesting to see if they can put the pieces together. Running the ball, can help, on offensive line develop. And so I think the play calling, can he protect that offensive line, with the proper play calls? They had to upgrade, some of their athletes at key positions. And so one thing about Minnesota, that row the boat mentality, they will Minnesota's like weird because they lost some games they had no business losing, like to Bowling Green. And
Right.
then you win some games that nobody ever thought. So
You weren't supposed to win. Right.
So it's hard to get a good read on Minnesota. I mean, if you ask PJ Fleck, he's still PJ Fleck. How you doing? I'm rowing the boat. We're doing elite, all that stuff. Good hype man. Still not overly sold as a coach, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's hard to gauge Minnesota because you just don't know what you're going to get. But they do have talent coming back. If they could get that offensive line situated, then maybe they can be a team that shocks some people.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard when you're inconsistently good and inconsistently bad, right?
Yeah.
So like you say, you win the games that you're not supposed to, and then you lose the games that you're not supposed to. And now you don't know where that is. Now, there are, of course, from a coach, there are a lot of factors. Injury, like I say, losing Ibrahim is a big deal. But again, you shouldn't lose it. You shouldn't lose the Bowling Green. Just what it is. It's just kind of like my Canes not supposed to lose the FIU. I don't care if every coach had COVID and they had to coach it themselves. We're not supposed to lose that game. But let's push this deal on. I'm very interested in this next team that I want to talk about in Maryland with Coach Mike Locksley. I know Coach Mike Locksley well, fiery dude from the area, right? Maybe not being an alumni. He's not an alumni of Maryland, but he's an alumni of the area.
Correct.
He's from the DMV. He's from D.C., and DMV is D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. He's been getting some recruits in there, right? They just can't get over the hump. He's got Tua's younger brother, Tua, in there. I believe he still has another year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Talia.
Yeah, he has another year. But he's getting some good pieces. They're getting some players out of Florida. He had Kevin Steele for about a week or two, who was the new defensive coordinator at Miami. Got him from, I guess, Tennessee, or kind of on the couch. He was kind of in limbo. Got Kevin Steele to come over there for about a week or two, and Kevin Steele decided to take his talents to Coral Gables. What does Mike Locksley have to do to get over the hump for Maryland? Because they're in an area where there's a lot of talent. The Maryland, North Carolina, D.C. area is good with talent.
They got to stop people. I mean, here's the thing. They will be able to score on just about anybody because of his system of approach, his system and his approach. And Talia's coming back, and they have a great receiving core. Raheem Jarrett is, he was a 5-star receiver. They have Demas coming back, and they have a couple other guys. There's that offense, man. I'm telling you, it is a talented offense. And if they can stop some people, that's the sleeper in the Big Ten, in my opinion. So to me, it's just, I'm telling you, they have a dynamic offense. But like Maryland, what was it, Minnesota? 1 minute you're winning 63-0 against Syracuse. The next minute, Penn State's winning 63-0 against you at home and stuff. So, if they can, recruiting is not going to be an issue. I still think Penn State's going to get their fair share out of the DMV area, Ohio State, Alabama. So, he may not grab, every player, but they're going to have talent. Like I said, that offense is fantastic. I thought if they were able to hold on to Kevin Steele, then that would have been a great pickup. We'll see. And I'll be honest, I haven't checked that out yet. But if they can stop some people and they can consistently score in that system and that approach, Talia shows, he continues to develop and everything. They had two and I have to double check to see if they're coming back. But they had 2 outstanding tackles last year. Kind of got exposed in a few big games. One against Ohio State, but if they can stop somebody, man, I'm telling you that's a sleeper team in the Big Ten to watch, because with that receiving core they have coming back, they could be legit. They could be legit.
So check this out. I'm gonna plug our NCAA, the Coach Hayes NCAA fantasy football league we had going on. So Coke Dog, who I'm gonna put his comment up in a second. I had Tua and I had Fleet Davis, the running back, on my team, and they won me some games. But Coke Dog says Brian Williams, the new DC at Maryland, and Brian Williams went to Miami Carroll City from the crib. All right, so he's got ties down here, and like I said, I think Maryland is you just said it, a sleeper, and you kind of took one of my segments. It's all good, but I'm just saying, no, you good, man. But I was just going to ask you who would be a sleeper, but we'll talk about that.
There could be some more. So yeah,
but I'm with you. But I'm with you 100% because the offense is high powered. They got to stop people, and that's what happens when you kind of get the head coach who's one side of the ball or the other.
Right.
One thing, let's take you back to the Lane Kiffin, right? They're going to score you, but they're going to win 52-50. That kind of thing. And I never understood that process. It's not like it's a salary cap.
No.
It's not like – so I never understood that. Like, I understand the NFL, okay, I need you to spend more money on offensive guy. But then it's recruiting. Get the guy. You don't cost you anything. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But Maryland definitely is one to watch. Let's talk about Indiana. Indiana, to me, is a good team. Maybe not as consistent, maybe as a Wisconsin, but I still look at them as a team that can hurt you if you don't watch them. Tom Allen's been there, but they've gotten some pieces. They've hit the transfer portal. We know they got Bradley Jennings from Miami Hurricanes has come in. I know you talked about another guy, but something interesting I saw, that Tom Allen is number 12 on the hot seat right now at Indiana. Talk to us a little bit about it.
I can low-key see that because there was such hype, after a couple years ago during the COVID season, when they had that, incredible season, and they, were disappointing last year. Indiana, they have some talent coming in. They have come into Florida. Told you about the kid Mullins from Coconut Creek. They got him. They got the quarterback, one of the quarterbacks from Missouri. They got him. And so, they are, as Justin said, the best 3-7 team, and it's so weird. They're going to have talent. They got a new offensive coordinator and they have a new defensive coordinator. They have talent at running back, and they had talent last year. Stephen Carr, they had him, he transferred from USC. Very talented dude, man. He was a high end. I think he was a 5-star recruit. We'll see kind of how, they got Jack Tuttle. If you know anything about Jack Tuttle was committed to Utah, high school teammates with Chris Olave and stuff. He was a high end quarterback. Talent is not, I don't want to say it's not the issue. Obviously, if you compare them to some other teams in the Big Ten, then you would take them, but they should be much better than where they are. So I think for Indiana, if Indiana has a season like they did last year, he's gone. Because you have to show, some sign of improvement. You know what I'm saying? You have to show that the program is headed into, a positive direction.
And the funny thing about it, right? They've had, like you said, they were upside. Definitely how they played Michigan the year before, and they whooped their behind. You know what I mean? It was tough, man. And then it's just funny how things change. Same coach, not a lot of turnover in the coaching staff, maybe not a lot of turnover in the players. But what is the dynamic that creates this big change? And that's the issue. A real quick question for you before we move on. Darrell Kendall says, Dom, do you still cover OSU with Scoop?
I do not. No, I left a few months ago.
All right, cool, man. And we'll definitely get into things that we're doing here lately as we wrap this up. But we got to get through all 12 of these teams. And the next one is going to be super exciting. I put them there for a reason because as people start watching, I don't want them to get all the top teams and then dip on the video. I want them to stay around. So here we go. Let me do this right quick. Darrell says, I'm a Buckeye from Cleveland, and y'all are two of my favorites. No bias, straight fact.
My
Appreciate
man,
that, man.
appreciate you.
Appreciate that. Share that thing out on your social media. Have everybody watching. Tell the dog to hit the like button. You know what I mean? Let's make this thing big because this Coach Me Coach podcast is something I've been wanting to do for a while, where we talk about all aspects of football and not only that, I'm learning stuff. That's what's huge for me. I like teaching, but I also like learning. You understand? So and my man Dom been teaching me a lot since we've been on this thing talking, and prior to that as well. Michigan State, go Sparty. Listen, those boys came out of nowhere. Coach, oh my God, Mel Tucker gets the
Mel.
job, right? A lot of controversy about him leaving Colorado State in the middle of the night, in essence, telling one recruit, I'm not going anywhere. He wearing green the next day, all that kind of stuff going on.
Crazy.
He hits the transfer portal, ridiculous. I think that team got the most out of the transfer portal. What do you have? Picked up about 40 transfers?
A bunch.
If I'm not mistaken, somewhere like that.
They got a bunch of kids. I don't know how many. I think it was like in the 20s, but I mean, if you count this year's class, it might be somewhere in the 40s and everything like that.
Yeah. And wink, wink, hey, wink, wink. Kenny Walker was my starting running back on my fantasy draft. Don't miss out. Hit and subscribe so you can catch our fantasy draft. I'm telling you, it's fun, man. We have donations that we give at the end of the season. Donations, as we call them, at the end of the season. So it's a lot of fun. If not, ask Coke Dog, you know all about it. But anyhow, Michigan State, they get back on the map last year. They put my beloved Hurricanes to sleep. You understand? To sleep at the beginning of this. I think it was game 2 or 3 or something like that.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah, game 2 or 3. Put them to sleep. My man comes out the gate. What he had 3 touchdowns or some crazy stat the very first game of the season. And nobody knew about this guy, right? What did he come out of? Wake Forest or Vanderbilt?
Yeah, Wake Forest, yeah.
Coach Wake Forest. So, like I said, the receivers did well, the quarterback, all that kind of stuff. Talk to us real quick about Michigan State. Will they take over? Will it be the new Michigan? Will that be the rival?
I mean, they beat them. So, you're talking about with Ohio State?
Yeah.
No, just go watch.
Will it be the game part 2?
No, just go watch the game from last year, and then you'll see what that's about. No. No. Come on, man. You know better, Hayes. Come on now.
It's all entertainment. It's all entertainment.
I know. I'll say this about them, man. Their secondary, which is how it's beyond me that Miami lost to them. Their secondary is not that good. It was not that good. They just didn't have the corners to they have a good safety in Xavier Henderson, really talented guy. And, he did a number, he's a talented player and he's coming back, which is huge. And so they were trying to implement a new system, and that system, will be enhanced. So I'm really excited to see what they can do this year. So, but defense is what killed them. There's 2 things. They have a talented running back that came in from Wisconsin that transferred in. And then I think they had another running back that transferred from Wake Forest. But Jalen Berger, he's one to watch. He's a really talented dude. But then their quarterback, Peyton Thorne, if he can get hot and he can really make plays and push the ball downfield, they got a receiver in Jaden Reed, number 1, who's coming back. He's not a big guy, but he's a playmaker.
Yes, he is.
He's a playmaker, and he's back for them. They have to improve upon the offensive line. That's big. They have to get better on the line of scrimmage. But like you said, they've utilized the transfer portal, and now – they're a year into his system and they're learning the new defensive system. Listen, Sparty can make some noise this year. That's one of the games I can tell you that makes me nervous because they always play hard. They always play aggressive, specifically when Mark D'Antonio was there. But from a talent perspective, they're loading up the portal, man. And so they could be, here's the thing. I don't want to call them a sleeper team because if they do well, you look at all the talent and like all the former 5-stars and stuff like they have and all the former high-end athletes and SEC transfer, Big Ten transfer, ACC transfers is not a total shock. many people, obviously people are, predicting Ohio State, and if they do what they're supposed to do, they should be the team. But it's not a total shock if they make it. But listen, I'm looking forward to seeing how they play and seeing what they can do.
I definitely am, man. And Mel Tucker is a guy who's very big on social media. I see a lot of his posts. He posts a lot of things. He's very Lord America, I can't think of the word. Very interactive with the fans, and people he talks and stuff. So it'll be very interesting to see, man. It'll be very interesting to see what they do. Let's get into this guy. One person put up there. Let me see if I can go back. If I can kind of segue, if I'm using this right, into this deal. Hold on. Somebody just said this team was going to be the sleeper, and I try not to laugh too hard, and I highly disagree. But let's talk about this team right here. Hold on. Here we go.
Nebraska.
Let's talk about Nebraska. No, the true sleeper is Nebraska. I think Scott Frost going to Texas QB is going to do wonders. That defense has played hard for Scott Frost. JoJo was a monster.
Oh, boy. If they play as tough and as hard as they did last year, then that statement is 100% correct. Now, they lose some pieces, specifically on the defensive side, and they lose a couple pieces on the offensive line, specifically their center. What's his name? Cam Jurgens. I had to write some of the stuff down. And they get another running back, but they've done pretty decent in the transfer portal as well. They will have some receivers coming back. Now they have now here's the thing, Casey Thompson, are you Adrian Martinez part 2? But if Casey Thomas can flash like he did when he was good at Texas, then he can be the one to put that offense, over the edge and really can do some good things with them. And it depends. The defense, they lose some key pieces too, but they get a couple good pieces back. So I agree with that. If they can put it together and they can if they play with the same effort like they did in each and every game, and can eliminate the stupid mistakes at the end of games and maybe periodically throughout games, Nebraska could absolutely be representing the Big Ten West and Big Ten Championship.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Dom Smith says that if that happens, they could be representing the West.
Keyword if.
That's true. Here's my problem. Okay, I know Martinez is out. Thompson is in. But was it quarterback play that's the problem?
Yeah, it was quarterback play because of Adrian Martinez had a tendency to make the wrong play at the wrong time multiple times a game. It was him, and then Scott Frost. There were certain plays. It's like, well, why are you running this play? And so, there are little things. You said it on your show before. If it happens once or twice, it's a mistake. If it happens, more than that, 4 or 5 times, it's a habit. If it happens more than that, it's something that's being taught. And that's something. It was just too many of those habits to where it's just. It was like, how are they going to find a way to lose this game? And it was almost to the script every single time.
And so my question is, that if becomes very, very big because the same culprits are in the place that can make those same calls, right? The Scott Frost. And then now you got a young guy. So maybe I guess the variable in the if is the new quarterback. Yeah. We'll find out, but he's number 1 on the hot seat as they have it listed right now. He's the number 1 butt warmer out there right now. and what's amazing to me, I'm to be very honest, I would have not expected that from him coming from UCF doing the things he did. Okay. With what I believe to be maybe less talent. I may be wrong in saying that. I'm talking about overall, not key components, but overall less talent at UCF. Of course, I know they're playing maybe lesser talent as an opponent, but it shouldn't be this bad, bro. No. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be this bad. And what I'm trying to say is, if you're Scott Frost, you should be able to find someone who's not going to put you in those predicaments, because those same mistakes you made at Nebraska, talking about making the wrong call at the wrong time, you didn't seem to do when it was when you were Golden Knight, or y'all just the Knights now, not Golden, but just the Knights. You know what I mean? So it's just weird to see. Maybe sometimes people think the stage is too big and I got to do more.
Or quickly before we move on,
sure,
the quarterback, and you know this being a coach, a good quarterback can make up for big mistakes. So, Martinez, I think he's a great kid, and I hope he does well at K-State, and I think he will do well with a fresh start. But the moment those turnovers start clicking, man, then that could be it. That could be it.
Yeah. Big shout out to my cousin in the building, man. He a big Ohio State fan, man. Look at him, man. Big Ohio State fan. Fellas, you got to give me a call after this show, man. Give me a call as soon as this show is over, man. We'll definitely talk and chop it up. But, yeah, man, so that's big on Nebraska. Let's jump into another one, man. These Hawkeyes, man. What's up with these Hawkeyes? The Iowa Hawkeyes is another Big Ten team that I really feel that will hurt you. They've had some continuity with their coaches. They've been there for a while. The system is in place. I just don't think they have enough talent to get over the hump. But if you don't watch it, they'll ruin your career like a Wisconsin. And everybody knows what to expect. And that's big, right? Sometimes being consistent is better than being good. And then next year we're bad. And then next year we're good. And then next year we're bad. So what's your take?
They're going to have a good defense next year. They got a 5-star safety in Xavier Wampa. I know you did his film too.
Did his film.
He's going to be a guy I think that could come in and play. They run a zone scheme. They don't have the horses, from what I've seen, to play man-to-man, play a lot of zone. They're losing one of their better cornerbacks, but I still think the defense should be the calling card. Their problem is, like you said, you know what you're getting. And you don't necessarily have to be more physical than them, but if you can give your quarterback enough time and you can make a couple stops and you have some horses that can run and just better athletes, you can beat Iowa. Quarterback, not the strength of the team. And I think that could be something. They're losing a very talented running back in Tyler Goodson, and they'll have a good running back to come up and replace him. I have no doubt. But it's going to be interesting to see, the Hawkeyes, because I think if they can get a quarterback in and that can make plays and stretch the field, then they could be Iowa could be 8-4, or they can be 12-2 and lose and a big bowl game. But
because just last year they were in the runnings. They were in the runnings last year. They were knocking people's heads off. I forgot who they lost to. They lost to someone right there. I want to say they were all the way ranked up to number 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Put in the comment section somebody what they were ranked at. But and then they lost that game. Michigan State, was it?
Michigan State or Penn State?
May have been Penn State. But anyhow, they lost that. Yeah, so and it just kind of went down from there, man. But I thought they were going to be that sleeper team that was going to get in there and just bowling ball people through that deal, man, and just knock cats out the way. And then, like I said, once they lost that, it was like, man, we shot our wad. We gave you everything we had. We'll be back next year to ruin some more careers.
I can see the same thing happening again this year, man, to be honest with you. But I think their defense is their calling card. Offensively, they got to get it right.
Yeah. Let's talk about this team here. We got 3 left. We got Nebraska, Purdue, and Rutgers. Let's get into I meant Northwestern. Northwestern, Purdue, and Rutgers. Northwestern, well-coached team, but they have one standard that every school pretty much has in a conference, the academic requirements in order to get in. So therefore, that eliminates quite a bit of talent. Like I said, they have some good teams, but because their academic standards are so high, they don't get an opportunity to maybe partake in all of the talent that's necessarily available. Talk to us about Northwestern and what's going to come out of the Wildcats.
The biggest problem from Northwestern is their best player transferred to Notre Dame, Brandon Joseph. And so I think that's going to hurt them. They have to replace their front 7. And I think they will. they don't have to replace the entire front seven. They do have some talent coming back, and they have some pretty decent guys. Pat Fitzgerald, he can develop some guys. He can develop talent. They have a next man up mentality, but offensively, I'm not sure what you're going to get from them. They have to see better quarterback play. We have to see if they can get that, and we have to see kind of I know they have a new running back that they're hoping. I think his name is Evan Hall.
Mm-hmm.
They're hoping for big things from him. So a lot of it depends on stuff like that. I don't think they'll be as bad as last year, but I don't see them. I can see that 6-6, 6-7 kind of 6-7, sort of season from them.
Just making the bowls, huh?
Yeah, that kind of being the peak, and that's not a knock to them. That's just the rest of the conference is evolving with talent, essentially, and it was Wisconsin that beat Iowa. There's a few teams.
Yeah, Wisconsin. Big shout out to Cuzzo, man. What's up, Cuzzo? Thank you for that. So yeah, it was Wisconsin that beat Purdue, right? And so we're talking about that, right? Because up comes now. We talk about Northwestern, like you said, they have some hurdles they have to jump, but then Purdue comes along, and they, like I said, Iowa was rolling. So as we talk about Purdue here, they come in, they knock off a guy, they ruin somebody's season. You understand what I'm saying? Talk about Purdue, man, because I have to be very honest. I don't know much about Purdue. I know you covered the Big Ten. So give us some insight on those guys.
Purdue might be one of the most exciting teams that you can watch play. This year, they're missing two of their top receivers, David Bell, and then I think his name is Jackson Anthrop. He's gone. But Jeff Brom is a fun, creative, offensive genius, and they have their quarterback, Aiden O'Connell, coming back. And so I think they're going to be pretty good offensively. And the biggest thing for Purdue, they got Wake Forest's new defensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, or he came over from Wake Forest. And they're missing a few guys. They have to replace a few guys, at linebacker. And then obviously the big name, George Karlaftis. If I said his name, forgive me, but he's projected to be a top 10, top 15 NFL draft pick at defensive end. So that's not going to be any easy task replacing him because he did so much for that defense. But offensively, I think they should be fun. And the biggest thing for Purdue, man, they do not have any of the big dogs that I've seen on the schedule. There's no Michigan. There's no Ohio State. They have the Big Ten West. And I don't think they have Michigan State in the crossover game. So, okay, they could be a sleeper. They can win some games too. So they will. I don't know about the defense, but I know their offense will keep them in a lot of games, and it may win them some as well. Some big.
That's awesome, man. That's all. And speaking of it, I'm plugging it again. I remember David Bell being one of the top receivers in my fantasy draft. One of the guys in the Coach A football college fantasy draft, they had David Bell. He was eating it up. So subscribe so y'all don't miss that, man. Subscribe so you don't miss the info on the college fantasy draft. We give out a nice donation at the end of it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're on to our last one, and we're almost out of time. Rutgers with Greg Schiano, his second stint at Rutgers. I remember my early coaching career in Miami. Rutgers was killing South Florida when it came to recruiting. Rutgers was innovative. Rutgers was doing satellite camps. They was coming down, renting out hotel ballrooms, doing coaching clinics. Rutgers with Greg Schiano had put a billboard up with all of the players that they got out of South Florida in the Rutgers jerseys. They got their arms crossed. They had guys like Gary Watts. They had Tim Brown out of Northwestern, Gary Watts out of New Orleans. I mean, they had some ball players. Can Greg Schiano reinvent? Nah, that's the wrong word. Can Greg Schiano duplicate what he did then? Because, again, that was the Ray Rice era, right? So everybody remembers Ray Rice era. But there were so many Florida players on that team that helped that era. But again, Ray Rice was the big name that came out and went on to the Baltimore Ravens. But can he do that again? Or football has evolved and you can't do some of the things you used to do to get guys up to New Jersey?
So there's two teams that we got. We got Rutgers, and then we're going to combine Rutgers and Illinois. Rutgers and they lost some key pieces. They lost Bo Melton, and they lost Isaiah Pacheco. I'm mispronouncing that name, but they were two pretty good offensive playmakers. They have to replace them. They lost their starting cornerback to the portal. He was a freshman and he had a lot of promise. But Greg is doing a pretty good job of recruiting, and he's bringing talent in that program. They got to get the quarterback situation straightened out, as well. Quarterback is the key. They brought in a new defensive coordinator to try to mix things up. I think they're going to play. They play hard and they fight. It's the talent that they're struggling with, and so if they can develop a reputable and decent offense, they can be at the same. I still think Rutgers is a year or two away. They just need more athletes, and the problem is, look who you're in the division with: Ohio State, Michigan State, Maryland. That's the thing. Penn State, right there, New Jersey. That's the thing that stinks for them. Greg has done a good job of getting, retaking New Jersey, because there's a lot of New Jersey prospects who are legitimately interested in them. If I'll say this, if he can, like, the top 3 or 4 athletes in New Jersey, if he can keep them home, that's kind of thing. You talk about it with Miami. Let's create a border around South Florida. Dade, Broward County. Let's create a border where people can't come in, take them. I think that's the same thing. I still think they're about a year or two away. They have to continue to develop and get some more playmakers, but I think Rutgers is on the right path. Illinois
and New York, and New York. So good enough. If they can get that New York, not necessarily Manhattan area, the 5 boroughs, but kind of outskirts. And again, I know they're fighting with Syracuse and those kind of guys for the Buffalo, the upper New York area. But there's a lot of talent in New York, a lot of hidden gems in New York. You got to really go find them. Yeah. Now, I know you want to bring up Illinois. Let's bring them up. I did skip them by accident. Let's bring up Illinois, the Fighting Illini with Brett Bielema, who was the Arkansas head coach, did a stint over at New England for a little bit, got his chance. He came in and he actually gave those players a taste of reality. He came in and he chopped some wood on some of them cats, man. Yeah. I don't know how it turned out for him, but talk to us about Illinois.
6-6. With that offense right now. Now let me say, they got Tommy DeVito. He transferred from Syracuse to Illinois. They're going to have Arthur Sikowski, who was a transfer from Rutgers, originally from the IMG Academy in high school. A few guys are missing up front, but I think. And I can see Illinois, kind of, because Illinois was the team that, shocked Nebraska. And I think that kind of, and Travis Nicholson, yes, that's a good sleeper to watch, because he can make some plays. But I think that kind of, led to Nebraska's downfall, because they should not have lost that game. And then Illinois is famous for that. I think it was 19 overtime game. College football, we got to fix the stupid overtime rule. Like, get it back to the way it should have been. And the same thing with the NFL. But, it's I feel like and Jalen Montgomery, Nebraska, no Ohio State, no Michigan. Yeah, that's the reason they're a sleeper. They're going to continue to build. I think their offense has to evolve a little more. Isaiah Washington, I believe he's still there. He was a high-end recruit who played quarterback. He is a freak athlete. And they do have talent, and I think Brett's going to continue to bring in talent. And I think that over time, I think offensively, they have to continue to evolve. They got to replace some guys up front. Defensively, they made some big strides. They were giving up like 6.7 yards a game, cut that to 5.2. Nicholson is a guy to watch. I think, they got some playmakers on the defensive side of the ball that will step up, that you'll hear more about them. And so I think, that 6-7 win season right now, I don't think they're going to take it to the next level just yet. But as they continue to develop and grow, I think that, Illinois could be a sleeper team as well.
Definitely, man. Well, that's a great wrap up. Like I say, Illinois. And here's one thing about Illinois, man. They also had some ties in Florida. They got a couple of kids out of Florida at a time. But then they lost that. You know what I mean? They lost it. I think, again, recruiting's changed. And that's a whole nother episode. We could talk about it. I do want to say this as we get out of here. 47 people currently in the building. I appreciate you guys. We're going to do it. I've been seeing everybody been saying ACC. So we may end up doing the ACC next week. But But again, that'd be great. We can talk about that definitely. But I do want to say, guys, we want to make the show big. There's only episode 2. Share this thing out. No, it's not going to be team specific. We're talking about college football. We're talking about all aspects of it, whatever the hot topics are. Right now, it's slow in college football, but we're going to be bringing these things up, talking about the hot topics, all the different things that's going on. So we appreciate everybody that come by. We're going to chop these things up, make them nuggets, share these things around. So if you are a fan of a particular school, or somebody that's a fan of a particular school in the Big Ten, we're going to chop up each one of these little segments and make it nuggets and pass that thing out real big. Right there, Kane Felby says, great show, fellas. Everybody support and hit the like button. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that, man. But with all that being said, let people know where they can find you, Don, what you're up to. I'll let people know where I am, and we out of here, man.
Dom Smith _news on Twitter. That's where you can find me. Host the Lactic Acid Podcast. You can follow that page, Lactic Acid _pod. We are trying to advance the sport of track and field. We have some of the best athletes in the world on the show and some of the people who make the sport great. So definitely be sure to like that, subscribe to that page. Lactic Acid Podcast on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you can get podcasts. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Definitely, man. Hey, we're going to make this a podcast, too. We're going to upload these to the podcasting servers and let them eat this up. So the Coach Be Coach will be a great podcast. Big shout out to our producer, Haitian Ellen, who was supposed to make sure she signed me up for the great Wi-Fi, and she signed me up for the Tommy Wi-Fi instead. So I don't know. It's been clear on my side, but like I said, it's real clear. I don't know if you see a little bit of lightning jumping around on my backside, but it's been choppy. I know it's probably been a little choppy, but guys, as always, you can find me everywhere, man. Go check out CoachHayesFootball.com, the website. Sign up on the mailing list there. We're going to do some exciting things come this season. You can check me out anywhere on all platforms, man. Facebook, whatever, it's all Coach Hayes Football, Twitter, Coach Hayes FB. Okay, go support your boy with a Poor Little Timmy shirt, man.
Yes, sir.
Go get these Poor Little Timmy shirts. You can catch it right below right in the comment section. We got all the shirts. Click the button. We got a bunch of selections. We got rivalry series. We got all type of crap going on in there. So check it out. And other than that, we pretty much out of here. Hold up. Let me see. Coach, get better. Backlight so more clear. Go Canes. Y'all tough
it's
on me. I'm on
vacation
vacation.
time. We on vacation.
I'm on
vacation.
I'm on vacation, dog. I ain't trying to look. I got this big old bag. I ain't trying to walk around this big old bag. Look at this crap. Big old bag of just equipment. Nah, dog. We going live from the phone, bro. You understand? But anyway, with all that being said, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Just playing, Mr. Trill. But anyway, with all that being said, we out of here. Peace, love, and hair grease, man. Coach Me Coach Podcast, episode 2. And we out ya. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
Peace.